Have you ever been told that you were not allowed to drink out of a certain water fountain, or eat at your favorite restaurant, or go to school with your friends just because of the color of your skin? Unfortunately, all of these things were illegal in the United States before segregation was ended in 1954. Do you know what segregation is? Segregation means that people are separated from others based on their race, gender, religion, or some other characteristic. Before racial segregation ended, many people thought that black people and white people should not be friends, or go to the same places, or even live in the same neighborhood. How sad! This was wrong, and there were many people who worked very hard to change this in our country. Today we are going to learn about a girl named Ruby Bridges. She was a very brave little girl who became a hero to many people around America in the 1960s because she was the first African American student to attend an all-white school in Louisiana. Her bravery helped inspire other men, women, boys, and girls around the country who were facing the same situation. Ruby Bridges went to kindergarten in 1960 in a school that was for only black children. She loved her friends, her teacher, and her school. School can be so much fun when you have a nice teacher and friends that you can learn with. Have you ever had to change schools? It is not fun at all. There was another school that was close to Ruby's house called the William France Public School. This was a school that was for only white children. One day, Ruby's family heard from the government that Ruby needed to begin attending this new school. When Ruby was going into first grade, she started at her new school. On the first day, her mother took her to the school, and special policemen called U.S. Marshals came with them. The U.S. Marshals made sure that Ruby and her mother would be safe while they were at William France School. There were a lot of people who were not very happy that Ruby was going to be going to this school. They stood near the school and yelled very mean things and held up signs telling her to go away. They said that they wanted segregation to stay in their schools and did not want things to change. This is very sad and wrong. Sometimes change is difficult, but it is always worth it. Some people were so upset that they took their children out of the school, and Ruby was left all alone. She spent every day alone with her teacher, Mrs. Henry. Mrs. Henry was very nice and kind to Ruby, even when others weren't. This was probably a hard thing for her to do, but it is always the right thing to be kind to others. Have you ever had a teacher that was kind to you? They make school a lot easier, don't they? Ruby was a very good student who did her best in school. She learned lots of new things about math and reading. She loved her new teacher, Mrs. Henry, but really missed being with children her age. She wanted them to come back to school with her. Can you imagine going to school every day and not having anyone to talk to? How boring! What would you do during lunch, or recess, or the bus ride home? Many months went by, and Ruby kept going to school by herself until one day the other children began coming back to school. Ruby was so happy to have her friends to play with on the playground. Do you like to play with your friends on the playground? I used to love to swing and play on the monkey bars. It was so much fun. During this time, many people heard Ruby's story and wrote her letters to encourage her. One person that wrote her a letter was former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Do you know what a First Lady is? This means that she was married to a president. Eleanor Roosevelt was married to President Franklin Roosevelt. She wrote Ruby a letter telling her that she was a good American. A famous artist named Norman Rockwell painted a painting of Ruby and the U.S. Marshals walking into the school called The Problem We All Live With. This is now a very famous painting. An author named John Steinbeck wrote about Ruby in the book Travels with Charlie. He said that she was a very brave little girl. Now Ruby is all grown up, is married, and even has children of her own. She is still friends with her teacher, Mrs. Henry. Her job today is to visit schools and tell children her story. She tells them that you can be friends with everyone. Even black people and white people can be friends. But the most important thing that she tells them is that we should always have the courage to be kind to each other, no matter what.